You have already finished your day, accidentally opened your phone, and 40 minutes later, you were watching videos of dogs dressed as astronauts, unable to stop, unable to explain why, and feeling nothing. No relief, no pleasure, nothing. Just the emptiness of someone who spent 40 minutes of life on something they didn't even want to do. And this is where most people think lack of discipline, weakness. I need to have more willpower. It's not that. What is happening is more precise than that and more insidious. In less than 10 minutes, I will explain to you what is happening. Subscribe to the channel to receive our tips and information. There is a system inside you that has been hijacked. A system that has existed for millions of years, built to keep you alive and motivated. And that is being exploited in real time by engineers who studied neuroscience to never let you leave the screen. And the result is something neuroscientists call dopaminergic desensitization, which is a complicated way of saying something simple. You have become addicted to cheap stimulation, and now the good things in life, the real ones, can no longer reach you. But there is a detail about how this hijacking works that most explanations don't mention. And it is this detail that changes what you will do next. First of all, dopamine is not the pleasure hormone. This is the most widespread misunderstanding in popular neuroscience. Dopamine is the hormone of anticipation, of seeking, of maybe. Imagine someone fishing. The fish doesn't bite every time you cast the line. It bites randomly after several attempts. And it is precisely this uncertainty that keeps the person for hours by the riverbank, casting the line again and again, even without catching anything. The pleasure is not in catching the fish. It is in the possibility of catching it. Your cell phone was built with the same logic. Every time you open the feed, there might be something amazing or not. There might be a new message or not. There might be a video that will change your afternoon or not. And it is this might that dopamine chases. Not what you found. What you can still find. The problem is that this system was designed for an environment very different from ours. In an environment where stimulus was scarce, where you needed to hunt, explore, dopamine was survival fuel. It kept you moving when the reward was uncertain, because giving up meant not eating. Now the stimulus is infinite. And the system has not been updated. Researchers at the University of Michigan have identified that high-speed digital media consumption activates the dopaminergic system at a frequency that no natural stimulus in human history has come close to replicating. Not because the content is good, because it is new, constantly, infinitely new. And here comes the second character in this story, and this is where things start to get more serious. The receptor. Think of the dopamine receptor as a muscle that carries weight. If you put a small weight on your arm every day, the muscle adapts. It gets stronger for that weight and starts to need more weight to feel the same effort. This is adaptation. In the dopaminergic system, the opposite happens, but the logic is the same. When you expose the receptors to a very high level of dopamine repeatedly, they don't become more sensitive. They become less sensitive. The brain downregulates the number of available receptors. It's a protection. I can't be overstimulated all the time, so I'm going to close some doors. The problem is that when you close doors to high stimulation, the doors that were open to low stimulation also close. And that's where something important changes. The things that used to give you genuine satisfaction, a long conversation with someone you like, walking without a destination, reading something that makes you think, cooking, truly listening to music attentively, those things don't change. They remain what they are. But your reward system can no longer register them with the same intensity as before. Not because you got bored with life, because the activation threshold has risen. It's like someone who ate very spicy chili for weeks and now feels that regular food has no flavor. The problem is not the food. It's that the palate has been calibrated to an intensity level that normal food no longer reaches. This also explains why you sometimes feel tired in a way that sleep doesn't fix. And soon you'll understand why the third agent in this story is directly related to this. But first, the state where nothing seems worthwhile, where you start things and don't finish them, where motivation appears and disappears without a clear reason, has a name. It's called functional anhedonia. It's not depression, it's a reward system that has been calibrated incorrectly. And the difference matters because the solution is not willpower, it's recalibration. Now the third point, cortisol. Think of it as your body's fire alarm. When it goes off once during a real fire, it saved your life. But when it goes off all day, For anything, an email, a notification, a to-do list that keeps growing, everyone starts to ignore it. And the building can really catch fire without anyone moving. Cortisol and dopamine have a relationship that most people don't associate. When the dopamine system is desensitized, the body uses cortisol as a substitute alert. It's a kind of biological workaround. If I can't feel reward, at least I can feel urgency. If I can't get motivation from pleasure, I get motivation from the fear of losing, falling behind, or making mistakes. That's why many people in this state function sometimes very well, even but they operate in emergency mode. Productive out of anxiety, not engagement. Responsive, not proactive. Always putting out fires, even when there's no fire. Researchers at the Max Planck Institute have identified that chronic exposure to artificial dopamine, especially in highly stimulating digital environments, is associated with elevated basal cortisol, even at rest. The body learns to stay in a state of alertness as a functional substitute for the reward that the dopaminergic system no longer delivers. The practical result? You rest, but you don't recover. You sleep, but wake up with the feeling that the day has already started late. You take a break, but you can't really stop. It's no coincidence. It's biology. And there's a specific moment when this pattern becomes more visible than ever. It's Sunday afternoon. You have nothing urgent to do. There's no crisis, no deadline, no task that needs to be solved right now. It's exactly the kind of afternoon that should be good. And yet you can't stay still. You open your phone, close it, open it again. You start tidying something that didn't need tidying. You feel a vague itch, a restless unease without an object, as if your nervous system had forgotten what it's like to have nothing to do. This also has an explanation. When cortisol becomes the main driver of functioning, the state of rest starts to feel like a threat. The body learns that calm is not safe. It's the moment before something bad. And what seemed to be rest starts to generate more anxiety than the rush itself. And what happens when you understand this completely changes what seems possible to do next. Because recalibration doesn't work through deprivation, it doesn't work through willpower, and it definitely doesn't work through guilt. It works through gradual exposure to low stimulus again, consistently, for long enough for the receptors to start opening up again. It's the same principle as a muscle, but in reverse. When you stop putting on the huge weight, the muscle doesn't disappear. It recalibrates to the lighter weight. And the lighter weight, over time, starts to make sense again. What happens in the body when you create real windows of low stimulation, not as punishment, but as recalibration, is that the threshold starts to lower. Slowly, not overnight, but it lowers. And when it lowers, something that was turned off begins to come back. Not as a revelation. Like a volume that has been turned up so slowly you hardly notice until the day you're in the middle of a conversation or walking or doing absolutely nothing important. And you feel that thing you forgot existed. Presence, genuine interest, the feeling of being here, in this thing now. And the strangeness of it feeling that something has returned that you didn't even know you had lost is probably the most reliable sign that the system is truly recalibrating. What you just learned is the foundation, but it can be completely canceled out by one silent mistake that almost nobody catches. To make sure that's not happening to you, I handpicked the video showing up on your screen right now, and also in the card above. In it, I reveal the hidden error that 90% of people make when trying to live a healthier life. Building good habits means nothing if this one specific thing is quietly blocking your results from the inside. Click now to make sure you're not sabotaging your own progress without even knowing it. I'll see you there in just a few seconds. Thank you so much for watching this video until the end. If this content was valuable to you and helped you in any way, please consider leaving a like, subscribing to the channel, and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming tips and information. And don't keep this to yourself. Share it with those you care about so that this chain of well-being grows even more. A big hug, and I wish you infinite health.